Welcome to another fun adventure here on Punky's World. I'm Punky, and right now I'm sitting in a 55-gallon food-grade barrel that I plan to use for a side project I'm trying to do for the house here. And it can help you out if you like to vacation a lot like I do. So drum barrels are great. We're going to be making an automatic watering system. Why? Because I like to vacation a lot. And when I go on vacation, I don't want to have people come over to water my plants and all of that. And I don't want to come back to a bunch of dead plants, because when I grow my plants, I grow them from seed. I give them all the love and nourishment and caring and love, and see that seed just sprout up into something just so great. So, you know, I need to figure out a way where I can still go on vacation for at least 2.5 weeks, come back and have my plants still be doing the job. And you may be thinking, well, why don't you just have a sprinkler system on? Well, because a lot of times when we go on vacation for long periods of time, we shut the water off to our house, so there's no risk of a flood or anything. So what I'm going to build is I'm going to build a self-sustaining unit that will be able to water the plants for me automatically by holding fresh water into this 55-gallon drum. Now, here's the kicker. My drum is on the lower level of my house. I need to get that water to the upper level of my house, to my deck where my plants are at. How am I going to do that? I put together a drip watering system for the plants, and each one has a sprinkler that I can dial down a little bit and put inside of each plant, and it runs off of a little hose system. It's like a 1/2-inch hose that connects to a manifold. The manifold has little tubes where the tubes can connect to the manifold, and it goes to each one of my plants so that I can water them. So what we're going to do is I have a 12-volt water pump, I have 2 deep cycle batteries, and I have a check valve. I've got hose. I got hose that takes it up to the top deck and goes to a timer, and when the timer clicks on, it lets the water out, which turns the pump on automatically. It waters it, and I'm going to water my plants for about 2 minutes twice a day. And with the emitters turned down, which is little sprinkler heads, then it won't just be gushing water. It's enough just to fill the planter and keep it going. Because the thing is, I don't want to bone myself and use up all the water real quick, and I don't need to overwater the plants. I just need to give them water it early in the morning times, and then the next one will be around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. When you're doing this and you're getting yourself a barrel, I highly recommend you get yourself a food grade barrel, because a lot of these barrels, they'll contain oils, or they'll contain DEF or different kind of chemicals that will go inside of here, and you can wash it all you want, but it's still not going to me, I don't think it's going to be perfectly clean. So let's get to transforming this barrel into an automatic watering system. Okay, I have here, it's a tap that I'm going to use for the barrel, and what we're going to do is I'm going to drill a hole in this barrel. I'm going to slide this guy through the inside of the barrel, and it's got a rubber washer on this end. When it's slid through, on the outside, I'll put this guy on the top, and I will thread this downward, and it will lock onto the barrel, creating a good seal. And then right here on this part, I can just attach a garden hose to it. I have my hole saw cutter here. So I'm going to put a little Sharpie mark down on here. Now, as you can see, I didn't go straight down to the bottom of the barrel, because this is like it looks like it's formed in such a way. So I'm above that, 1/2 inch, I'm above that, just because this isn't going to be a flat surface to drill to. This one will be. It's not a very smooth one, so if you have a scraper, use a scraper. And see all that chunk that just came off right there? You want that to be as flat and smooth as possible, so that way your fitting fits in there perfectly. If you don't have anybody to help you, because what you got to do is you got to slide this through, you know, and then you got to put that over there and then lock the washer on the outside, because we want the male end to come out of the top. Get yourself Gorilla Tape, put it on the back end of it like that, and we're going to tape it up just so we can get a few threads on there, and then we will tighten it up and make it all sexy. It is hot in this lab today. Woo! I had to take off this Hawaiian shirt. I love wearing Hawaiian shirts, but this one is like, it's not a cotton material, and I was just sweating balls in it. So, I don't know, I put on a t-shirt, and I figured it'll be better for the lab here. All right. Okay, now on to the next project. This whole deal is making a plate for the batteries to mount onto and the pump to mount onto. Now, What I got here is a pressure pump. So basically how this works is it'll pressurize the lines, and once the lines are pressurized, the pump shuts off. When the timer turns on, it opens up the valve, and then this pump turns on because the lines aren't pressurized, and that's what makes the water flow from our tank to the pump out to where our garden is. I went a little crazy on this one. This is a 70 psi one. You don't necessarily need a 70 psi one. In fact, I actually bought an inline, it's by Rainbird, makes the pressure so it's only going to be 25 psi because I don't want to over pressurize the little sprinklers, because otherwise water's just going to go everywhere. At least this will have plenty of lift to bring it from my bottom deck up to the top where my plants are. Next thing is I had 2 deep cycle batteries, and they're actually pretty old, but I ran a battery test on them with my digital tester, and I actually put a load test on these with my load tester. If you watch one of my previous videos, you'll see how I rebuilt it and fixed the load tester. Anyways, moving forward, these came out of the boat because I upgraded all the batteries to lithium iron phosphate batteries on the boat. So I have 2 extra batteries doing nothing in the garage. They're holding a charge, they're doing well. So I figured, you know what, I'll have these batteries running my pump. Now it might be a little overkill having 2 batteries down there, but I mean, I gotta do something with them. And maybe I'll just bring it down to 1 battery because I don't have the solar panel and all that, just to be on the safe side, which I know I'm gonna be fine, but in case a battery fails or whatever, I have a backup, because I am going on vacation and I am not taking any chances, and I want to keep my stuff watered, and I want this to be a successful mission with keeping everything hydrated. This is an A&L fuse. This is a 150 amp fuse. I'm actually just going to put an 80 amp fuse in here and go between the positives of the batteries. That way something shorts out between these batteries, it'll blow the fuse. And then also from the pump, I have this harness that I built for it. It's got an inline fuse right here as well. It's a 20 amp. That'll go from the battery to the pump, just in case if the pump shorts or whatever, it'll blow the fuse in here. We don't need any fires at all. And then I got another negative terminal just to combine this battery as well. It has a little cover right here to keep this out of the elements. Even though it's super warm here where I live, you know, we're not going to see any rain. And even if we did, it'll be protected because I will make sure it's protected. And down here, we have what you call starboard. What's cool about this is that it does not rot, it does not go bad. It's almost like it's a Palmer sheet. It'll last forever pretty much. You can't paint it. Paint won't stick to it. But we're not about painting it right now. We just want to put something so where the batteries can sit on. I have battery boxes for the batteries to go in, and covers for it. Some brackets to kind of hold them in place. Put a second battery there and have room for our pump. Let's put this together, and then we'll move on to the next step of maybe running some hoses, because it's getting freaking hot in here. I'm already drenched. It's crazy. Good enough, so they don't slide around. All right, now we gotta mount this motor. Perfect. It's gonna be great. So let me give you a little insight on what I'm doing right here. So I have these plants that I have grown from seed, except for the shrubbery. That's it, no, and not this one, but I have some other plants that I've grown from seed to what it is today. Some beautiful tomato plants. I got some mint. I have a lime tree. I believe it's a lime tree. And there's actually a tomato plant growing inside of it. And I got these ugly shrubbery plants right there. Now, I don't necessarily care that much about the shrubbery plants, but I also don't want to totally deprive them. And if I build the system enough to where I can keep them all watered, then this is great. I have a water timer. Right now, it's just plugged into the hose because I was testing to make sure it worked. This will be the inlet from the water tank from the pressure pump. It's gonna go out from here because once the valve says, okay, open up, this valve will open. It'll let water through here. It keeps going through this tube. And then right here, this is a little manifold, and it's got 2 break-offs. And one of them is going to this plant right here. And it makes like a little fan almost, like a fan-style water that comes up. And it doesn't go everywhere, it stays within the deal. The other part, the other hose from the manifold goes into here for this other plant, and I have this T right here, so that way it'll keep the water going. So it'll fill up this plant right here, it'll keep that going. And then we go to this one where we also tee off to, where it has water that fills that one, and then it keeps going. And right here I got some thyme, and there's another tee, and so it goes into another emitter right there, and it waters it, and then it stops there. But then also from where the manifold was right here, the hose keeps going. So this is the second run. It's going to keep going. It brings the hose to back here where there's a 4-way manifold. Each plant will have its own emitter. There's one for this guy right here. There is another one that is right here, which is for this tomato plant that's growing back here. There's another one that goes to here, which is for the mint plant, and this one is, it sprays up more, so it fills the area. I might even just add a second one in there, I'm not sure yet. And then it goes from here, and then it fills up. There's 2 of them in here because I have a tomato plant and I have the lime plant. There's a penis cactus, if you ever seen one before. Looks like the cactus just came. For the ladies, one more time, just for the ladies. Woo! Look how thick that cactus is right there. Little white on top, come on. Now that I'm down here, I brought the battery box / pump mount. We're gonna get it plumbed up. We're gonna get this hose right here. We're gonna get it threaded into the pump with the right fitting and with some plumber's tape. And we'll get this thing looking sexy and ready to go. The threads on the pump are actually plastic, but I'm gonna go around it with some Teflon tape. And I'm gonna thread this adapter on, because I believe it converts it from a 1/2 inch to 3/4. Anyway, the 3/4 is what threads into your hose right here. And I just want to put thread tape on it, just one little layer, just in case, so there's not any leakage at all, because water is precious, especially if you can't refill your tank for multiple weeks. I put some thread tape on the end of this pump here. It's plastic. I put the adapter, and on the adapter I also put some thread tape for this hose to thread into, because whether it makes a difference or not, I don't know. It probably doesn't, but it makes me feel better about it, and we're gonna send it. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna just run this line into there. It came with the fitting for the pump. I thought it came with another adapter. It didn't. So we're gonna feed it through. It's a 1/2 inch inner diameter, so we'll feed it through the end of the pipe, and then or the end of the hose, and then we'll thread it into here. And then we're not gonna hook it up yet because I'm still waiting on a check valve. And the reason why I'm going to put a check valve in the system is that when the water turns off, the water will just come back into the tank. I'd rather the water stay in the line, because then when the pump turns on again, it doesn't have to prime itself and push all the air through the system. It'll be all ready to go, because that timer, once it goes, I'm only going to set it for like 3 minutes. After the 3 minutes, it shuts off, and I don't want it to spend time trying to push the air out and all that. So I'm going to put a check valve in there. Let's get started on that. Let's thread these through the hose here, and we'll just run the line, and we'll cut it when we're ready to cut it. And of course I'm going to need a screwdriver. Oh shucks. We'll take this little prison lube, get it in there. Perfect. Now I need a screwdriver so I can properly tighten this hose clamp so we don't have any leaks. All right, that's on there. Cool. Right here's my timer. And the way I have it set up is I have the time set, so I put it to on. Right now it's 12:14 p.m. Right here it gives me the option to start time for when I want the sprinklers to turn on. And I have it set to 5:30 a.m. because it's still dark. The water will get a chance to work itself down in the roots because it gets really hot here. So this says for how long do I want it to go for. Right now I have it set to 3 minutes, but I might scale it back and do 2 minutes, because I think 2 minutes of watering, based on how much water comes out of the emitters, I think that's going to be enough for the plants. Plus I'm going to do it every 12 hours, which is what it says on the next option here. It says how often I want to do it. Every 12 hours the sprinklers are going to come on. So we said the start time will be at 5:30 a.m., which is enough time for it to get down into there and soak into its roots. I think I'm going to mount it somewhere over here because it will still get some shade. I mean, let's be honest, it's shadier than my ex-girlfriend. Oh! cut. Now we need the end piece. So this is a 5/8 converted to 3/4, which goes into this guy right here, which works out well because the inner diameter there is actually 5/8 versus the other hose I had was only 1/2 inch inner diameter. Little prism tube. Gross. So I got my 80 amp fuse, which you can't see. I'll show you. That's what's gonna go inside of the fuse between the batteries. We have a check valve. That'll come in handy. That way, once the water goes through and the pump shuts off, the water stays there because water can only go one direction. And that way, when the pump turns on again, it's already primed, ready to go, and sprays because it's only gonna have 2 minutes to do so. So good. This is a pressure regulator, so it will keep it at 25 PSI going to the emitter. We have pieces so we can connect other emitters with these T fittings and X fittings and Y fittings and plus sign fittings and all the other cool shit. And there's a plugs too to close off the line. I have a water flow meter. I'll be able to measure how many gallons is actually going through the pump. And I'll be able to see once I come back from my my trip, I'll know exactly how many gallons we used for that span of time that I was gone. These are just regular fuses because I only had a 15 amp fuse for the pump, and now I can put a 20 amp fuse in there. We have some more emitters. Look at that. Now we can add them in different plants if we want. Okay, good. So now we have some stuff. We can go to work, and hopefully the camera doesn't freaking overheat again, and let's get it done. The pressure regulator is installed. So I have a check valve right here. Nothing comes out that direction, but so water can't backflow. What will happen is I'm putting the check valve in line with this, so that way when the pump turns off, water will still be in this line right here, which makes it easier for the pump, and the pump won't struggle so hard trying to push all the air out. Okay, this don't need any prison lube, but just for the ladies. For the ladies, you know what I mean? Everything is done for the ladies. Okay, next. Now the batteries are in parallel. Yeah, baby. Get it. Oh yeah, it's solid. Melted onto the wire. These are heat shrink butt connectors. These are awesome. So it'll waterproof it as well. Let's do it when they're hot. We'll go with our ground next. So now that it's wired up, we're going to do a little test, and we're going to see if the motor makes any noise at all. There's no water. I'm just going to do it real quick. Yep, so it works. Everything's tight. It's fused. We're running in parallel right now. I forgot to mention that I also put a strainer on the pump, on the vacuum side of the pump, and that right there will help just strain anything from going into the pump, which could clog your diaphragm, make the pump stick, because you're kind of relying on that diaphragm to shut off properly when the water's in there and it's pressurized. If you get some kind of debris in there, it could make it stick open. And we got the tank down here. I am going to get some pavers for this thing eventually. I just ran out of time, but we'll put pavers under there to make it just more quality and nice. Prison lube. Yeah, baby. Okay. Cool. Now we just got to put an end on here, attach it to there. I think we can do a test run. I think we're tight. Let's put this washer in. Now I think we can add water and test this bitch out, see if this is worth our efforts. Let's power up the pump and see if it pressurizes. gallons is working. And we pressurized. Look at that. Okay, so it's a little later in the evening, and I did button up the project, and I did actually have time to put up one solar panel because I found it in the garage miraculously. So I put that up. So I got everything set up. I got all the stuff dialed in to consume just the right amount of water and not over consume water. So that way when I come back from my trip, I'll still have a buffer of water left in the tank. But in case my trip is delayed, a flight gets canceled, or you know how it is when you travel, then I still have at least a few more days to cover my expenses when it comes to water consumption. Now, another thing I had to deal with is down by the tank, I had a problem with threading the hose and the counter onto the bottom part of the tap of the barrel. And I had problems with this unit here. You would think that, you know, it would be okay, but I was having some random issues with it. I did away with this one, and the actual bulkhead fitting, you can do a 3/4 thread, which is what this is, to, as I drop it, it screws on to the male end of the thread. But instead of doing that, I actually got pipe fitting and put a barb on there. So I put a 1/2-inch fitting to barb, and I threaded that into the tank and made sure the bulkhead was still extra tight. I tightened it up because I had to empty the tank out and do that all over, and it's working perfect now. And I also moved the counter gauge that tells me how many gallons I used. I moved it up on the top deck because realistically, how often am I going to go down there to check the gallons, you know, unless I'm filling it up. But I'm also going to develop a way where I can fill it up and not even have to open up the tank. I can just do it and it'd be done. But I ended up putting the counter up here, and I'll give you a little tour here. It's not perfect yet. I'm not finished with everything. I still need to get pavers, and there's still some other stuff, but right there I got a little solar panel mounted on top right there. Yes, I know I got to clean up the wiring right there. Behind here I have my charge controller. It's controlling the power that's going into the bank, and right now you can't see it, but it says 12.8 volts is what the battery's at. The solar panel's still charging, but hardly at all. Down here I mounted it so that way I can turn the water on and off right here, and it's not just all hanging everywhere. I got my gauge counter right here for how many gallons. I'm gonna turn it on real quick and give you a demonstration. I'm gonna hold the button. The water's on. It's filling up the plants. It's looking good. It's giving everything a drink. One's getting filled, and it's doing its job. We're gonna shut it off, and it tells me that I used 1.1 gallons on the counter right here. I'll put this back to on, so that way it says it'll come on next at 5:30 a.m. And I have it set for 2 minutes runtime at 5:30 a.m. once a day, and it's plenty the way I have the emitters adjusted and everything. So it's all good. So the system works, it's great. I can always improve the system later on. Right now, it's set up enough, it's fused, and it's safe, and it's good, so that way I can go on the vacation, come back, and everything will still be watered and good to go. And that's that. Thank you for watching this episode of Punky's World. I hope you guys are looking forward to seeing me on the next episode. We'll see you soon. Cheers! Woo! Out of here. Water them gosh damn plants.